panel afternoon, our political strategists, Grahame Morris and Bruce Hawker. Good to see you both. Thanks for joining us. Speaking of political strategists, the National Party officials are reportedly late this afternoon having a phone hook up to decide what to do. Grahame, what would they be weighing, these state and federal party officials?
They would be hoping, and they know, that this is all in the hands of one man. You know, the National Party has changed its leader ungraciously once, Ian Sinclair.
Which is remarkable, once in 90 years.
That ended in tears. So it's a matter for Barnaby. And if everyone just takes, well, I don't know, unties their knickers and thinks about what will be going through his mind, and it's this. Will this go away soon? Can I survive? Will you think, well, no, we've got polls coming out. Somewhere between the 30th NewsPoll and the budget, a baby is born. So it just keeps going. And then you think, well, should I just sit here and do nothing? I don't think that's the answer either. So he's got to weigh up what is the best for the party, what's the best for a country, what's the best for him, what's the best for his parliamentary team. You know, they've gone back to the electorate and they're testing the waters. Well, you know damn well every question is going to be about Barnaby. It's not going to go away. And we had the poll this morning, and it said that most people think he should stand down. But you take the Labor Party out of that, and it's split. The coalition vote split fairly evenly. But 60% of the coalition wants him in the parliament. And I'm not going to give him any advice, but having watched leaders in the past, I suspect that he may well say, I will stand down for a while. I'll be the best local member you've ever seen. I'll be the best dad of this new baby you've ever seen. And I hope to serve in the parliament, maybe as a junior minister, maybe on the backbench for a while. But I really hope he doesn't leave the parliament, and I'd be very surprised if the party itself moved against a fellow like Barnaby. It's just not the National Party way.
It's not their style, that's for sure. Another potential problem, Bruce, Fiona Scott was just telling us, she was a Liberal member in the marginal seat of Lindsay, and said, look, there's no way you'd want Barnaby Joyce campaigning with you in a marginal seat right now. Sarah Henderson just then, it took a while, but eventually said if he came with a bucket of money and a big announcement, sure, it'd be great, but clearly wasn't falling over herself to say he'd be terrific to have in the electorate campaign. That is a bit of an issue, isn't it? Here's a guy who's been famously a great retail politician, great at selling the message in marginal seats, but can he still be?
Well, I'm not sure he's a great retail salesman, to be honest with you, but I think the answer is no. And he's got such an important portfolio for the government, particularly for regional Australia, and that's infrastructure. Any MP knows that as soon as he puts his head up in their electorate, they're just going to be asking questions that he hopes is going to have gone away, but really will not go away when they come to that particular electorate, because the local Cub reporter is going to be there with their pad in hand, wanting to ask a question, wanting to turn the story around to Barnaby. He knows that. He's seen it happen to his own side. He's seen it happen to the other side. You know, when you're on the nose, you're on the nose. That's the Bronwyn Bishop story, and you know, and it's a well-trodden path that these people go down. The truth is, I think, is that he's a dead man walking. Politically, he's finished. I don't think anyone really doubts it in the political world, but it is, I guess, as Grahame was suggesting, the manner of his departure that's going to be important. Will he be forced out, go the ignominious route, or will he decide that it's in the interests of the party and the government generally for him to leave? One way or the other, I think he'll be gone soon. And I don't think he'll stay in politics for very long either. I think he'll go off and get a job with Gina Rinehart or one of the other benefactors, and that'll be it.
We'll see, we'll see.
I hope not. I think he could still have 20 years ahead of him in the parliament, and there are lots of people who have come back, providing he goes with grace.
Well, all indications are Barnaby Joyce has no intention of going anywhere, that he wants to tough it out and stay on as leader. But we'll see whether party officials or others pressure him to do otherwise. Just on this question of leadership, Michael McCormack today, Grahame, Quickly to you, what was he trying to do? What do you think he achieved?
Well, he was on a hiding to nothing during the interview. There is no answer to that question. You know, will you challenge? Well, nobody knows yet. Nobody knows whether or not they're going to be a leader. And as for the things happening on Monday, well, the Senate's only estimates setting. So come Wednesday, they'd have to be telling everyone, hey, fly to Canberra, the Senators. The House of Reps will be here, but the others won't be.
I suspect this time they will come to Canberra.
Yeah, come about Wednesday, you'd have to be pushing buttons. And you know, people are scattered all around the country. You see poor Michael McCormack, who you know, is actually a bloody good bloke, actually. But he's in Darwin doing the anniversary of the bombing of Darwin. So, you know, this idea that somehow or other everyone's talking to each other's getting numbers and it's all split and 50-50 and things will happen on Monday, just drivel.
I just want to get both your thoughts on the news poll. Putting Barnaby Joyce to one side, I mean, yes, no doubt he's influenced the general result. But let's take a look at the overall figures. The primary vote's down again for the coalition, and that seems to have gone straight across to One Nation. The two-party preferred votes down, as you can see there too, to 47-53 once again. Probably could have been worse, frankly. But Bruce, what's your take on the overall numbers?
Well, the Conservative voters are parking their vote with another Conservative party, and that tends to happen. We saw that in Queensland, where they actually go out and vote for Conservative parties when they feel that the main Conservative party, the Nationals, aren't doing the right thing by them. So I think we've got to factor that in as being part and parcel of the Barnaby Joyce phenomenon. It's not a good number. You know, I see the Prime Minister trying to roll with the punches, constantly trying to push all this stuff back. But by the same token, you know, the old pugilist Tony Abbott's out there punching away, reminding everybody that there's just a couple more polls before they get to the magic number. So it's not a good poll for the government. It's a bad poll for the Prime Minister personally. It's a very, very bad start to the year for them all. And frankly, I can't see it getting much better while the Joyce problem just hangs around his neck the way it is.
You know, there were better signs a couple of weeks ago, Graham, some improvement for the government. That's all washed away now.
Yeah, that's right. You know, there was 3 minutes of sunshine.
A flicker of hope.
But there was a Barnaby factor there, painfully obvious. You know, the Bush people are basically conservative people. And I don't mean conservative in a political way, I mean conservative socially. And the coalition's support base sort of skews 55, 60 plus. So anything that smells of sort of, you know, babies out of wedlock and all that sort of stuff,
not going to help.
It's going to hurt a politician.
What happens when we get to 30 news poll defeats and beyond? How nervous will Liberal MPs start becoming?
Well, look, a few people will jump up and down. But at the moment, I don't think anything has changed. Everyone is hoping the polls come good. Everyone is hoping that Malcolm can, you know, pull everyone up by their bootstraps between now and polling day. And it's not as if Tony Abbott has behaved like an alternate leader. You know, had he played the game properly, it may well have been slightly different in a month or two. But he hasn't. It won't be. There'll be a fuss for 4 days. That'll be it.
You think he's hurt his chance? He's giving another speech tomorrow night on immigration. So clearly trying to flesh out some policy markers. You don't think that's helping?
No, because you had a whole string of interventions which have hurt Tony. You know, had I been advising him, I'd have recommended a completely different tack. And the same with Barnaby. If I were advising him, I'd say, look, stand aside for a little while, play the game, you'll be back, mate, and you'll have a 20-year career ahead of you.
I think I've got to say this, you know, I think the problem for Abbott and the benefit for Turnbull and all this is that there is no obvious successor to Turnbull, that no one is really jumping out of the pack and saying, I'm the one. It's not like the Rudd Gillard thing. But I'll just say this. Paul Keating, with respect to politicians who are a problem, he'd say you never hug a mug. And I think that's something that Turnbull's got to learn too. He just can't stick around, you know, being close to Barnaby, and that means having him as his Deputy Prime Minister and think it's not going to hurt him.
I think
Yeah,
he made an attempt at that on Thursday.
He's got to keep pushing
he?
that button, I think. I really do. I really do.
Oh, it's difficult. It's difficult. World War III breaks out every time he does. But anyway, it'll be a fascinating week. Bruce, Graham, we'll talk next week and see where the dust is settling on the National Party leadership. Thank you very much. Let's take a break and back with the last word.